All right, hello everybody, and welcome to our final look at Sadali. Before we do that, let's just make one little change. There we go. And if you listen to the music and you get the reference, shoutouts. All right, I promise the music actually makes sense. All right, so Sadali. Sadali, we did our preview a little while ago when he first came out, with some interesting thoughts on whether or not he was going to be good or not, and I came up against him multiple times recently, and I want to show you where the bulk of most of my experience came from. A lot came from a single player PvE matchup where you could fight against Astoria, Joom, and Sadali, all at level 120, all with premium stats, premium equipment to make them a really formidable team. And I have to say that in that matchup, from my experience, just running an auto 3-man team, one of the biggest issues I came up with against was still Astoria and Joom. Astoria and Joom are just a really good combination, as you would much expect against an all-slashing based team. Sadali definitely did things to counter, but honestly, he was not the biggest of threats in that composition. But let's talk about where the rest of my experiences come from, which is Arena. And in Arena, he has been starting to pop up. Hey, look at this. Just a great example. Someone with him already at level 150. Isn't that nice of them to just provide it? And as you can see, his stats are really good. He ended up with a good amount of, really high speed, 96 speed, 6,400 HP. That could probably also has been a little bit higher as the PvE example. I've seen him with 8,000 HP. As for magic stat, this one's built very much to be a DPS, which is something we do have to talk about. But Sadali has already shown up in top tier PvP and not necessarily guild battle yet, but I assume eventually. So what are his biggest benefits? Well, he has some nasty status effects, his limit burst, he's a real solution to the double hit problem, such that Astoria has, where, with his limit burst, he can deal damage and deal more damage. Thanks to Sadali's support skill, he is capable of doing that, of removing that completely as an option for the turns after he has cast his support skill. In terms of his weaknesses, he still has some issues with dealing damage. He has some elemental issues on JP, where their ice elemental teams are pretty darn effective at dealing with him. And the last thing that is a new addition to his cons is the AI. This is one of the things that I was really wanting to test the most with Sadali when he came out, was AI, because let's face it, the one-size-fits-all AI system that this game has just makes problems for units with multiple specialities, and Sadali is a character with multiple specialities. He's capable of support skills. As a matter of fact, I would say the support skills are his biggest advantage, just because he has a lot of support. He can also double as a healer, and he can deal damage as a mage damage dealer. So he has lots of different capabilities, but the AI is always really bad at balancing that, and that has been shown this week in terms of using him in certain maps. Once his AI is in range of any type of enemy, he will focus on that. He really doesn't have much else that he wants to do. So let's run with a friend bonus Sadali. You can take a look at his stats really quickly here. This one is more focused on magic attack. And yes, so let's go in with this on the hard stage in the trial event, which should be pretty good because Sadali should have high enough stats to really get some actions off before some of my other characters. So you can see here, we have a map where we have enemies surrounding us in lots of different places, and Sadali's already just going. He's not interested in doing support, and he's not interested in doing healing. Matter of fact, I really haven't seen him capable of even figuring it out when healing. I would put his AI somewhat similar to Black Witch Helena, but the difference is that Black Witch Helena didn't have key abilities that were meant to be used in certain PvP matchups. PvE matchup, sure, but really that's one of the biggest areas where you want this unit. And this has led me to my ultimate conclusion of Sadali. He is an absolute force to be reckoned with when he is on manual. With manual, he is very dangerous with status effects that he can cause. Most importantly, his Limit Burst Charm potentially, corrupting an Astoria, potentially corrupting a lot of different physical DPS units, can be just game ending for certain other units. Also, just being capable of... Oops, I flipped away from my screen. Damn it. Capable of reducing wind resistance, capable of decreasing agility, capable of causing confusion. He has a lot of different things that he can do to wreck an enemy team, but it really does require someone smarter at the helm than the AI. I do think, as a note, that if you were to heavily manage him, he can potentially work pretty well in PvP style situations or auto situations, but he is not the type of unit that you can just throw in with anything. Let me explain. Like, for instance, Astoria. Astoria is just a character that you can throw into any situation, and his AI is just good enough. It knows to use his key abilities first. He knows that he can deal a ton of damage, and he just goes to it. Astoria is one of the most low maintenance characters ever. With Sadali, I would constantly needing to be thinking about, well, do I need to have this ability active or this ability active? Do I need this sub-job, this sub-job? Which abilities in my sub-job do I need for this specific map? What am I facing on this specific map? What are the problems of this map? And all of that boils down to being a high maintenance character. And I don't think that's unfair. He does require his AI to be heavily tailored to work in PvP situations that you don't have control over. So yeah, Sadali is unquestionably strong. He is a 100 cost unit. You would expect that to be the case. In terms of wind synergy, he does have good wind synergy with other wind mages, such as, Halloween Leela, who is a low-cost character, who would also help balance him out for, cost-restricted guild battles and everything like that. There is a lot that I like about Sadali, but in terms of a character who you can just plug and play, like Black Witch Helena, or Joom, or Astoria, or, a bunch of other characters, that's not what he is. He is incredibly dangerous to be given into the hands of a well-experienced player who is looking to really mess up the other team. But there is even some limitations to that. So Sadali, I give a pretty high recommendation for players who really like manual style games. For people who like auto, for people who don't necessarily have enough time to really spend on all facets of this game, maybe this is a character you can just get for free because he is a permanent character in the pool and there is no pressure to get him immediately. Much like, for example, Oberyn. Although I like Oberyn better than... Anyway, so that's my final review. And I think it's a pretty fair one. But we'll let you to judge in the comments below whether I'm just completely out to lunch or not. So, thank you for watching, take care, and see you next time. Wonder what our mid-month character will be. Guess we don't have very long to wait. Wonder if it's gonna... I hope it's something unexpected. That would be fun. Anyway, see ya.